So for today, I want to talk about Mahadevi, the divine feminine, and her many aspects in Hinduism. Mahadevi is the embodiment of the infinite feminine in Indian culture. In the vast pantheon of these Hindu deities, few figures really hold the all-encompassing, transcendent, and immanent presence that Mahadevi does. She is the Adi Shakti. She's the first power. She is the womb of the universe. She is the mother of all gods and goddesses, and she's the infinite source from which all creation springs. Mahadevi is not simply just a goddess among many, but she is the totality of the divine feminine, whose myriad aspects appear throughout the religious, cultural, and spiritual life of India. She is the center of Shaktism, a tradition within Hinduism that venerates the feminine principle as the ultimate reality, which becomes the Brahman. In Mahadevi, the entire universe finds its origin, its preservation, and its eventual dissolution. She is both personal and impersonal. She is loving and also terrifying. She's nourishing and destructive. To understand Mahadevi is to understand the heart of Indian spirituality and its reverence for the sacred feminine. The many goddesses who flow from Mahadevi's essence would be Durga, Kali, Parvati, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Tripura Sundari, and Devi Shakti. And these represent these cosmic functions, these psychological archetypes, these different cultural values, as well as divine truths. Each is unique, yet all are one. Through them, Mahadevi speaks to the soul of every devotee, offering wisdom, power, compassion, and liberation. So let's go to the scriptural foundation of Mahadevi's divinity. The origins of Mahadevi's worship can be traced back to the Vedic period, where female deities were often associated with natural elements like the earth, which is Prithvi, or the dawn, Ushas, or the speech, which is Vak. But it was in the later Puranic texts, and particularly in the Devi Mahatmya, which is a portion of the Markandeya Purana, that Mahadevi emerged as a supreme unifying force. In this sacred narrative, the goddess is not only equal to the male deities, but she's the very force behind their existence, as well as their efficacy. She's the one who defeats the demon Mahismasura when no god can. You see, the text declares, "By you the universe is born. By you it is created. By you it is protected, O Devi, and you always consume it at the end." In the Devi Bhagavata Purana, Mahadevi is clearly identified as Para Brahman, the supreme reality that is beyond form, gender, or duality. These texts elevate the feminine to the highest metaphysical plane, asserting that Shakti, or divine energy, is not a subordinate or auxiliary power, it's the primary force of the cosmos. Without Shakti, the gods are inert, they're powerless, and they're incomplete. This theological elevation of the goddess here marked a profound shift, because now the feminine was no longer peripheral in Hindu religion. It was central, it was ultimate, it was all-pervading. So let's talk about her aspect as Durga. Durga is the invincible warrior and the guardian of Dharma. Among the most revered manifestations of Mahadevi is Durga, whose name means the inaccessible or invincible. She is a warrior goddess, she's a slayer of demons, and she's a fierce guardian of cosmic order, which is Dharma. Her most celebrated myth recounts the battle against Mahisasura, which is a shape-shifting demon who could not be defeated by any man or even regular god. In response, the gods pooled their energies and created Durga, armed with celestial weapons, mounted on a lion, and possessing 10 arms, each wielding the power of a different deity. Durga is not just a martial figure of war. She represents moral and spiritual resilience. Her power is not rooted in cruelty, but in righteous wrath, unleashed only when all peaceful means have failed. In Indian culture, she is invoked for protection, for justice, and for manifesting inner strength. The annual Navaratri festival celebrates her 9 nights of battle and her ultimate triumph. Communities across India engage in fasting, prayer, dance, and dramatizations of her epic victories. These celebrations are both spiritual and social affirmations of feminine power. Durga's iconography is a beautiful and yet formidable woman, often smiling as she strikes down evil, and she embodies the idea that true strength can be compassionate, discerning, as well as purposeful. She is both the protective mother and the fierce warrior, and in this dual role, she resonates deeply with women navigating the complexities of the modern world. Next, we have Kali, who is the dark womb of liberation. If Durga represents righteous wrath, Kali takes it a step further into the territory of cosmic dissolution and ego annihilation, being the goddess of destruction in a sense. She is Mahadevi as time, which is Kala, death and transformation. Her iconography is striking: black or dark blue skin, wild hair, a necklace of skulls, a protruding tongue, and a skirt made of severed arms. She dances on the supine body of Shiva, who lies still, recognizing her power. Kali emerges from Durga's forehead in the Devi Mahatmya when Durga must defeat Raktabija, which is a demon that replicates with every drop of his spilled blood. Kali drinks his blood mid-battle, preventing him from regenerating, and in so doing, saves the cosmos. But this episode also symbolizes the destruction of ego, where every negative thought, like every drop of Raktapijiva's blood, replicates unless consciously consumed and transcended. Kali is revered especially in Bengal, where she is considered both a terrifying and tender mother. In tantric traditions, she is Brahman itself, beyond good and evil, beyond form and formlessness. Devotees approach her not to fear death, but to transcend fear altogether. In worshipping Kali, one embraces the inevitability of endings and learns that through destruction comes the possibility of rebirth, the circle of life. Her cultural impact is profound. Kali is invoked during crises, in political upheaval, and in personal transformations. She is a patron of revolutionaries, of poets, of mystics, and seekers who dare to confront the darkest parts of themselves and to emerge renewed. Next, we turn to Parvati, the harmonious embodiment of divine love. While Durga and Kali embody strength, battle, destruction, Parvati represents gentle love, devotion, and nurturing. As the wife of Shiva and the mother of Ganesha and Kartikeya, she completes this divine family unit, and she shows that the spiritual path is not always about renunciation. It can also be about relationship, balance, and inner alignment. Parvati's stories reflect the soul's yearning for a divine union. In one tale, she performs severe penance to win Shiva's love. This penance becomes a metaphor for the disciplined path of self-transformation, where devotion, bhakti, and willpower, tapasya, leads to higher consciousness. Parvati is also seen in her ascetic form as Aparna and as the warrior Chandika, again illustrating Mahadevi's fluid nature. In daily Indian life, Parvati symbolizes the ideal of graceful strength, a woman who is both spiritual and worldly, soft yet unyielding in principle. As temples and festivals celebrate her as Gauri, the radiant one, and Annapurna, goddess of nourishment, and Meenakshi, the fish-eyed goddess of Madurai. In each role, she affirms that the feminine is both domestic and divine, capable of holding families, societies, and even the gods together. We next turn to Lakshmi, which is the generous giver of prosperity. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. She is Mahadevi's aspect of wealth, abundance, beauty, and virtue, kind of like how the pentacles are represented in the tarot. She emerges from the churning of the cosmic ocean, which is Samudra Manthan, holding a lotus and a pot of gold. She resides with Vishnu, the sustainer of the universe, symbolizing that prosperity must be sustained through Dharma. Lakshmi is deeply ingrained in Indian cultural and economic life. During Diwali, homes are cleaned, lamps are lit, and prayers are offered to welcome her presence. She's not merely a giver of gold, but a bestower of inner and outer wealth, including love, generosity, and peace of mind. Business owners worship her before ventures. Brides are often compared to her for their grace and auspiciousness. Her presence in homes, art, and rituals reinforces the belief that material and spiritual wealth are not mutually exclusive. Both are divine when rooted in righteousness. Keep in mind, I've always said, wealth is energy. And so the love of wealth could lead to some kind of evil, but the energy itself is pure. Saraswati, the flow of knowledge and creative intuition. Saraswati is Mahadevi as the goddess of wisdom, music, arts, speech, and learning. She rides a swan, holds the veena, which is a stringed instrument, and is dressed in pure white, representing the clarity of mind, the purity of thought, and the serene pursuit of truth. In Indian educational traditions, Saraswati is invoked at the beginning of every learning journey. Students chant her name before exams. Musicians pray to her before performances. She is celebrated during Vasant Panchami, which is a festival of spring and knowledge. Saraswati embodies Jnana Shakti, the power of knowing. She reminds humanity that ignorance is the greatest enemy, and that true liberation comes through discernment, which is viveka, and wisdom, which is vidya. She also represents language and speech, which is vak, which is in the Vedas considered to be sacred and creative. Her knowledge extends beyond religion. She is a symbol of freedom of thought, of artistic expression, and intellectual inquiry, all of which are essential to Indian civilization's thriving culture. Now we come to Tripura Sundari, which is the supreme consciousness of beauty and bliss. Tripura Sundari, also known as Lalita or Shadashi, is one of the most esoteric and powerful aspects of Mahadevi. She is the queen of the three cities, the Tripura, representing the physical, mental, and spiritual realms. Tripura Sundari embodies sacred beauty, supreme consciousness, and ecstatic bliss. In Sri Vidya Tantra, she is the central deity of the Sri Chakra, a complex geometric mandala representing the universe and the human body. Her worship is deeply meditative, requiring initiations and mantra recitation. She is neither fierce like Kali nor austere like Saraswati. She is sweet, commanding, magnetic, and full of divine joy. Tripura Sundari teaches that divine truth is beautiful, and that beauty is a reflection of the divine. Her devotees see the world not as a burden to renounce, right? Remembering the whole idea of non-attachment, but as a play of consciousness to enjoy, transcend, and lovingly transform. Next, we turn to Devi Shakti, which is the energy of all life. The word Shakti itself means power, force, or energy. As Devi Shakti, Mahadevi is the animating principle behind every atom and every act. All goddesses are expressions of her, and all beings are infused with her presence. In Kundalini Yoga, she is envisioned as the serpent energy coiled at the base of the spine, which rises to unite with Shiva, which is pure consciousness at the crown. Shakti is not separate from the world. She is the world. Nature, emotion, movement, change. These are all her manifestations. The five elements, Pancha Mahatbhutas, the seasons, birth, death, and time are all forms of Shakti in motion. In worshipping Devi Shakti, Hindus acknowledge the sacredness of life itself. Her power is revered in temples, invoked in rituals, and experienced in the stillness of meditation or the ecstasy of dance. We have these cultural reverberations, and so Mahadevi is part of everyday life in India. Beyond the temples and the scriptures, Mahadevi lives in the hearts of millions of Indian citizens, shaping culture, art, ethics, gender dynamics. Women are often named after her: Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali. The girls are worshipped as Kumari, young goddess, during festivals. In every household, from the rural village to the urban city, the goddess is present in Rangoli, pujas, the lullabies, and the stories passed from grandmother to child. The ideals of strength, grace, knowledge, fertility, and compassion all trace back to Mahadevi. In modern times, feminist theologians have found a sense of empowerment in her worship. Unlike traditions that marginalize the feminine, Hinduism, particularly Shaktism, places the divine feminine at its very core, granting women a powerful spiritual lineage. In conclusion, we should all strive to return to the Great Mother, because to invoke Mahadevi is to return to the Cosmic Mother, the origin and destination of all souls. She is not limited by one form, name, or tradition. She is the totality of life, power, love, wisdom, and mystery. Whether one approaches her as Durga's courage, or Kali's liberation, or Parvati's love, or Lakshmi's prosperity, or Saraswati's insight, or Tripura Sundari's bliss, or even Shakti's vitality, one is ultimately reaching toward the same sacred, unifying presence. In a world that is increasingly fragmented, Mahadevi calls to us to be whole, to recognize the divine within ourselves, to recognize the divine in others, and in every aspect of life. She is the divine feminine that nurtures, burns, teaches, and blesses. She is all that there is. And if I don't see you, just remember, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.